All right, good morning, trade pros, and welcome to our morning market update for this beautiful Wednesday, September 23rd. It's oil inventory day, and we are excited. All right, some news in today's session, not anything market moving, but still some exciting things, including what Jerome Powell and Steve Mnuchin said yesterday in their testimony, which begins, which began yesterday and continues is the word I'm looking for today, and ends on Thursday. So it's a 3-day testimony. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. First and foremost, it's official. The U.S. government has avoided a shutdown. They've passed a short-term spending bill through to keep the government funded through December 11th. All right. On Tuesday night, it was a 359 to 57 vote. So there was no opposition pretty much there. Some people did not want it, but large majority there voted in favor of it. All right. And in addition to funding most of the government agencies through mid-December, Donald Trump looked for adding back dropped farm payments, which is going to be done, all right, in return for expanded nutrition assistance for low-income households, which was requested by the Democrats. It's good to see some good bipartisan discussion going on. All right, bill now heads to the Senate for a vote before September 30th. No one was ever really in doubt that the government would not be funded. This is one thing that both parties could actually agree on relatively easy. They don't want another government shutdown scenario. We had one a couple of years ago, and it was over 30 days. It wasn't good, right? And so nobody wants that on their back right before an election. Really, this is not a market mover at all, just something cool you should know. In other news yesterday, Tesla's battery event, disappointed and underwhelmed. They promised a $25,000 car with full autonomy. That was already promised before, actually, by Tesla, so it's not a new piece of event. I think in 2016 it was kind of their goal. All right, the plan for Tesla is to cut the cost of their batteries by half, but in 3 years, which disappointed investors. I think they're looking for something a little bit more immediate. When Apple does an event, they don't say our iPhone's coming out in 2028. Say it's coming out this year, here it is, or it's iWatches, whatever it is. I think investors were looking for something a little bit more immediate to justify the share price where it's at. They couldn't get that, so it's down nearly 7% after hours. It recouped some of those losses overnight, but it's still down another 5%. So, the stock's going to open lower. Elon Musk also forecast an eventual production of 20 million vehicles, which he didn't really give a timeline on, really, but that's almost twice as many as massive car maker Volkswagen has sold this past year. Okay, that's huge. That's a big goal. It's lofty. And Elon Musk said, one of the things that troubles me the most is that we don't have yet a truly affordable car. In order to do that, we've got to get the cost of the batteries down. All right, the battery is like the engine of the car in an electric vehicle. Okay. In other news, market making competition. This one was interesting for me as somebody who used to work in the industry on the other side. I was a trader at a bank, and so I did get to see a lot of the antics of what happens behind the scenes. And I have a deep appreciation of what happens when you click submit. Many of you just think, I'm going to buy this stock here, and cute, it shows up in Robinhood. There's a whole system and matching order routing engine behind the scene that is so sophisticated, it would actually blow your mind. Right? Yeah, a little sip. A little sip of coffee. I appreciate that side of the business. I think it's important not only to understand how trading works for self, but also understand the industry as a whole. It does give you a little bit of an edge or an advantage in your day trading once you understand the process. All right, Citigroup today announced it's closing its market-making business and retail options. That's a huge announcement. It was only one of two banks that did it to begin with. All right, their quote was, it was unable to compete in a technology arms race to be among the fastest and most reliable, according to the Financial Times. That leaves Morgan Stanley as the sole bank that's involved in options market making of the major banks on Wall Street. Options market making, believe it or not, used to be a human business. All right, it used to be humans that would do that, would maintain the spread. And options market making, if you're an options trader, you need to understand this process because it impacts you huge. All right, whether you like it or not, and whether even you know it or not, actually. Now it's all an electronic business. Now it's a race of who could get the most amount of shares, who could provide the most amount of liquidity, because that's what you're paid for. And by providing liquidity, you're taking on delta risk, so now you got to hedge. So it's really become an automated, a technology-driven business. And I think that's a good thing. As traders, we get tighter spreads. All right, I think eliminating the human out of that was made a little bit of sense. But there's also some opportunity for technology to be rigged against you here and there. It's controversial. All right. Now this market is dominated by huge companies like Citadel Securities. Some of you may not have even heard of them. Citadel, I remember Ken Griffin was the CEO. Remember one time he was mentioning that, let me just see what, I want to get the quote right. I can't find it. Anyways, he said, we've only had one losing day in 6 years. And I said, great, you're doing something illegal if that's the case. There's nobody that has only one losing trading day in 6 years that's doing something, 100% legal. You're not taking any delta if you got one in 6 years. That means you just made an oops kind of, it was probably a keying error more than anything at that point, right? And so anywho, Citadel Securities heads up a lot of options making. Simplex Trading and Optiver are three massive companies that do it, and they're technology-driven companies as well. All right, some of them you can buy publicly. All right, in today's markets in Asia, Japan's down 0.1%, Hong Kong's up the same, China up 0.2, India down 0.2. So you're seeing kind of mixed markets in the Asian session. In Europe at midday, London's up 2.2%, Paris is up 1.8 as well, Frankfurt is up 1.5. So strong gains in Europe. I think the momentum really started to drive to the upside in the European session, and it spilled over in the turn to the U.S. Dow up 0.7, S&P was up 0.5%, NASDAQ up 0.5 as well. Now kind of S&P's giving up some of its overnight high gains. We did manage to crack the 3,300 level. That's very important. That's a job well done for the bulls yesterday. I don't think the bears just let that go today, though. I think it gets contested. Going to be interesting to see what happens around that 3,300. Below, you got some bearishness. And let's have a look. So far, it's a little bit of a rebound in the early week selling. Let's see how we do today and how we close out the week. All right, crude oil is up 0.4%, and we have oil inventory today at 10:30 in the morning. That's going to be a big driver for crude oil. In 1 hour of one day, you can make your money for a whole week or more, maybe even a month if it's a good report. All right, gold's down 0.6%, actually continuing lower now, almost 1 percentage point. And Bitcoin's flat for the day. This morning we had some news events already. Mortgage applications, according to the MBA, at 7 a.m., the 30-year mortgage rate climbed to 3.1 versus 3.07. All right, and mortgage applications are up 6.8% week over week. That's good news. All right, the mortgage market's starting to turn. The index is up 808 versus 757 prior. So mortgage market's increasing, it's heating up, and the purchase index is 327 versus 316. More people purchasing and more people doing refinances as well, 3579 versus 3289. All categories in mortgage applications are up. That's good. People are willing to borrow. I think these record low interest rates have something to do with it. It blows my mind that in the US you get a 30-year mortgage for 3%. It's just absolutely astronomical. Anyway, that's the state of the economy we're in. All right, blame Powell. Speaking of Powell, he's going to be speaking today at 10 a.m. on before the House Select Subcommittee. He's going to continue his testimony. Yesterday, Powell said that the government needs more money to be created and to be circulated. They need another stimulus round, basically. So Powell continues to say every time he's got a chance to speak it, he'll say the same thing. It's like having a friend that tells you the same thing every time you see him, but they're still kind of cool enough that you don't mind hearing it. Okay, but you're sort of at the limit and you're very close to it. That's what Powell's doing. I think he's going to probably say the same thing today. And the question and answers didn't really uncover anything substantial to move the markets. But we do know that Powell thinks the government needs to put some stimulus measures on the table, and not just a government funding bill, but one that's a corona or a COVID-19 relief bill. They need to extend those benefits, is what Powell's saying. All right, he's coming on the wire at 10 a.m. He could create some market-moving commentary, so be cautious of that at the top of the hour. 10:30, you got that, or crude oil inventories. 11, Fed's Evans is speaking. All right, 11:30, we have a 22 billion two-year note auction result, and then we have Fed's Rosengren speech at 12 p.m. Okay, Fed's Bostich and Kashkari are speaking at 1 p.m. All right, and 3 p.m. Fed's Daly is speaking. So you got a lot of Fed Reserve speakers, voters and non-voters, on the docket today to anticipate. Could be some market movers, or it may not. You never know. You might get nothing. You might get something. The most important thing in these markets, because I think after March, the crash happened, and a lot of people weren't in tune with the markets. And now after the crash, a lot of retail traders came online and started buying the market dip, and we've taken it to a level that has been historic. It's been a historic rally. But now these newcomers to the market are looking at this saying, hey, you know what? Stocks don't only just go up, they also can go down. And so there's a saying in the stock market and in this business that I've been in since, honestly, all my life. I'm 35 years old and I've been doing it since 2001. So that should tell you a little bit about how long I've been doing this, right? And then went on to the bank to do it professionally, etc. So I tell you this, there's a saying in the business, don't confuse bulls for brains, and it's absolutely correct. Okay, it's super easy when you can throw a dart at the board on any letter that you hit, you buy the stock and it makes you money. Gets a little bit more challenging when it gets a little bit more challenging, if you know what I mean. So join the community, be a part of TRADEPRO Academy. We trade together on a daily basis, and that's the real benefit. Yes, there's courses. Yes, there's a whole bunch of info for you, checklists, and all the other stuff that other people provide. It's better quality, and the best part is the community. All right. At the end of the day, you look at any kind of trader in a professional environment, and they're going to be trading with other people. No one trades alone in their bedroom. Neither should you. So you guys are a community. Love you all on YouTube. Be good. Take care of yourselves and each other. And today, expect to see a little bit of a slower day. So don't gear up for big volatility. I think start out in first gear and shift up as you see some volatility increase. All right, you guys take care. And we'll see you tomorrow. Ciao. Goodbye. Boxy, let's kick it off with the oil update. So I'm going to send it over to you, get some levels, trade ideas, and let's smash it. We had a really good day yesterday and the day before. Let's carry that momentum. So let me just throw you on here.